Oh my Lord, you have got to hear this. So I'm sure you guys have heard about all the controversy around the 5G. You know, the new iPhones and everything are supposed to use this new 5G network, which is an ultra high frequency that can actually penetrate the body. It doesn't bounce off. You know, now you have shoddy cell phone coverage if you're like back in the woods and you're here. Well, these new waves are, supposed to penetrate everything, which is the controversy, because that sort of radiation that penetrates our bodies and every other organic thing on planet Earth is very damaging, and there's tons of scientific research on it. Anyway, I'll go into that later. This is about the representative. See, these towers, these new 5G towers, they can't be spaced far apart how our cell phone towers are now. Like, they're literally every, few hundred yards. The infrastructure is intense. It's like, you know how we have power poles now going down the highway everywhere? Well, this is what we're talking about. To have these high frequency, this 5G technology, we have to put this infrastructure everywhere. So they have to put it all around all the schools, to the elementary schools and high schools and everywhere. So the parents at a lot of these elementary schools, the first ones they're starting to put the infrastructure up at, are calling all these school board meetings because they've seen the dangers, and they're showing testimony about the dangers. So anyway, this little girl says, I don't want to get cancer. Has this been tested? Because it hasn't been tested. I'll put the footage of that as well up in just a second, where the actual people implementing it at the Washington, D.C. Press conference says that because it's worth billions of dollars to rush to this technology, be the first to this technology, they said, we're not going to do any regulation on it. We're not going to do any testing on it, So essentially, you are the guinea pigs. Like, we'd rather have the billions of dollars than know if this is safe. So they say flat out, they are not going to do any regulation or testing on it. They're going to go ahead and put it up right in your kid's playground. So anyway, this little girl is asking about, saying she doesn't want to get cancer, and asking the representative of the company putting up the tower on her right by her school playground if it's safe or whatever. And he says verbatim, well, my son had a tower 200 feet or 200 yards from his school playground, and he got leukemia. But I can tell you, so I know as well as anybody how, what a struggle it is to have a child with cancer. But the tower wasn't related at all to his leukemia. And the crowd's just like, what is wrong with you? You just said that your own son got cancer, and there was one of these cell phone towers, 100 feet from his playground, and, you're using that as an excuse to tell us not to worry. It's just bizarre. So anyway, here's the footage of this actual town hall, and then I'll go into the next thing.
Of all the places in Shadyside, why are you trying to put a cell phone tower in my kid's playground? There's like 1,000 other places you can put a cell phone tower.
This is ground zero for the best possible opportunity to create. I understand, but the point I'm making is this. You're asking why I can't go somewhere else, right? You're asking why can't I go like a mile away or 2 miles away? The answer is this is the best place to fill the hole in the network. You're asking why can't I go like a mile away or 2 miles away? The answer is this is the best place to fill the hole in the network.
Really? There's really everywhere else in Shadyside. You're trying to tell me everywhere else in Shadyside you can't get more than 200 feet from a building or somebody's property line or whatever. That's what you're trying to tell me?
What I'm saying.
And will you be guaranteed? Will we be guaranteed that the cell tower is safe for us kids, and we won't get some sort of cancer or anything like that? Because I don't want cancer.
Can I ask what grade you're in?
What?
What grade are you in?
Fifth.
You're in 5th grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going into
When
fifth.
my son was 9 years old, in the 3rd grade, he was diagnosed with leukemia. He went to a school where there was a cell tower within 300 or 400 feet from his elementary school, his Forest Hill Elementary School in Fairfax County. So if there's anyone who can understand your concern, it's me. Because I'm a parent of a child who had cancer and survived cancer. And I can tell you that there is no credible evidence to demonstrate that my son got cancer from that cell tower.
Okay, so here's some of the evidence that he says doesn't exist. You can search it out easily. It's everywhere. This is from the actual EPA website, and there's tons of people going around with their radiation detectors. You can buy radiation detectors and going around to the towers and going up next to them. And then when they report them to the city governments, then they will like cordon them off and put warning signs about the radiation, stand 10 foot away from this pole and stuff like that. So not only is it provable, but the governments are responding to it with warning labels and all sorts of stuff. But you know, the research is out there. But here's just one clip from one guy who's done a lot of study on it.
Breaking news. New 5G death towers that are going up in every major city are causing significant radiation spikes. About a year ago, we reported already that radiation levels in the major cities were above evacuation levels according to the EPA's own documents. Radiation levels are so bad in major cities right now that quite literally the government should be ordering you to evacuate. And things are so bad that they turned off their testing of beta particles about 2 years ago. Now, we've covered this and it went nowhere. And the reason that this information goes nowhere is because we have a very aggressive telecom industry out there, Lucent technology and the like. But there is no disputing the evidence that's out there. If you look at the EPA's RadNet network, and you look at the major cities that are around you, they are all above evacuation levels. Now, we did the math because they try and confuse you between millisieverts and counts per minute. But when you do the math, and we've done a huge documentary on this titled Fukushima Radiation So High, EPA Cancels RadNet Dirty Bomb Warning System. You can look that up on YouTube. We may repost it on Facebook one of these days. It's not super fun because we go through the math, we go through the different cities and the examples, and it's scary out there already. People are fleeing to a place in West Virginia where they can be radio frequency free. But they're putting this stuff up everywhere. In schools, everywhere, just, massive Wi-Fi routers everywhere on top of the 3G, 4G, now the 5G that's coming up, plus the radio waves, the microwaves, the satellite waves. They call it electrochemical smog. But this stuff is emitting radiation that can be measured with, the equipment that the EPA has shut down. But with the equipment that's left, the radiation levels are so high that they are shortening lifespan.
Okay, and you don't have to have the EPA's beta, gamma, microwave, radiation detectors to figure this stuff out. Here's an experiment that ninth grade girls did just about Wi-Fi, how Wi-Fi affects organic material. And they put it's a science experiment. They put two sets of seeds, exactly the same sort of control group. And one was away from the Wi-Fi router and one was just set inches away from the Wi-Fi router. And the ones that were away from the Wi-Fi radiation did fine, and the ones next to the router, they didn't grow. In fact, they decayed and did all sorts of weird things. So it's not rocket science. You can duplicate this experiment at home. These technologies put off radiation, but nothing like what 5G does. So even though the dangers are well known to everybody, from like tiny school children to the EPA. Here's that clip I promised of Tom Wheeler, the chair of the FCC, saying that they don't care, they're not going to regulate it or test it, they want the billions of dollars.
Game changer is that 5G will use much higher frequency bands than previously thought viable for mobile broadband and other applications. Such millimeter wave signals have physical properties that are both a limitation and a strength. They tend to travel best in narrow and straight lines, and they do not go through physical objects as well. But brilliant engineers have developed new antennas that can aim and amplify signals. Now, to make this work, the 5G build-out is going to be very infrastructure intensive, requiring massive deployment of small cells. I'm confident that the actions will lead to a cornucopia of unanticipated, innovative uses and will generate tens of billions of dollars in economic activity. And that's damn important, because it means that U.S. companies will be the first out of the gate. And that is why 5G is a national priority, and stay out of the way of technological development. Unlike some countries, we do not believe that we should spend the next couple of years studying what 5G should be or how it should operate. The future has a way of inventing itself. Turning innovators loose is far preferable to expecting committees and regulators to define the future.
So like I mentioned earlier, the problem here is the amount of exposure that we are so blanketed in these frequencies, and in small doses, your body can withstand it. But the children of today, they can't be more than 2 inches. And the adults, what am I talking about? First thing they do when they wake up in the morning is grab their iPhone and look at it. You know, they can't even eat a meal. And now the manufacturers are making watches and stuff that you can actually wear on your body. Heaven forbid it be in your purse or not actually touching your body with these harmful radiation frequencies. But anyway, that's the main problem now, is the combination of not only the towers, but the devices themselves that, you know, back when I was a kid, autism was very, very rare. But now the statistics show that we're up to 6 out of 10 male children are being diagnosed with some form of autism. There is clearly neurological and brain damage happening to our children, and people don't want to acknowledge that this could be coming from the Wi-Fi and the cell towers and the radio frequencies, but it is, folks. So
they're going to find a way to allow texting during movies, because you simply cannot tell people in the younger generations that they have to turn off their phone for any given amount of time. They have to be able to have their phone on all the time. This lady over here is on her phone. All of the people at this table over here are on their phone. These two people over here are both on their phone. Pretty much everybody around us is on their phone.
At all tables around us, every single table, every person at the table is on the phone.
So you feel like it robs the ambiance?
No, I feel like I'm sitting amongst tables full of zombies who are completely tuned out. They're in some other place. They're in La La Land or something.
So what does all this mean? Where's all this going? And whose fault is it? You know, we do so many videos talking about this control structure and the military industrial complex and the, you know, technological, you know, past the industrial age into this techno-apocalyptic age and all of this stuff. But, you know, whose fault is it? I mean, it's ours. It's our fault. I know they've thrust this upon us, all of this technology, but we choose it. People are choosing this of their own free will instead of choosing things that are important and things that are profound and deep and eternal. I mean, just look, okay, there's no shortage of information. This video I'm doing right now is not the only video out there. Everybody who is awake is doing videos. Here, look, I mean, here's this one where they're showing this is how these frequencies actually penetrate your body, your flesh, right into your brain. And you know, this talks about the radiation rates in US cities where they actually go around with a meter and show you to your face the radiation rates and show you the EPA websites and where those standards fall, which are evacuation level, by the way. And you know, here's another one, human dangers and human extinction, that we are so bombarded with radiation. Here's one, 5G is amazing and safe, right? So it shows how they flat out say that they're putting these towers up literally every, you know, few hundred yards, and they say for this new 5G network, and they say, oh, well, we don't have time to test them. Like, we don't want to, you know, you're the guinea pigs. You are the test. We're going to go ahead and put them up because there's billions of dollars we can make here. And we're not going to wait around to do the testing because we want the money. So if it kills you, then we'll know. There's the test. You're the guinea pigs. So anyway, look at the watch rates on that one. That one where the representative tells, it's at a Washington, D.C. actual press conference, and he says to your face, 5G won't be regulated or tested before they begin putting the towers up right next to your child's school, right next to your home, all of that. 383 views. Look at this. Look again, look closely, 383 views. But if you want to find out how to put a fuzzy cover on your death radiation machine, on your tracking device that you carry with you everywhere, you, oh, look, I can punch it, and from satellite you can see exactly where I'm at driving down the road. Oh, and I couldn't get this tracking device without giving the cell company my social security number. So everybody has a registered tracking device and they carry it with them everywhere they go. So nobody wants to hear about that, though. Here we have, you know, 383 people on planet Earth have watched that press conference. That's good to know. 8,000, few thousand here, there, you know, on all of these. But if you want to put a fluffy, fuzzy, pretty, shiny case on your death machine, on your radiation machine that's giving you cancer, 16 million people. And this isn't even men. If you, this is like fuzzy pretty stuff. If you went into, you know, videos for guys and how you could put a football something on this and that, you know, you're talking hundreds of millions of people can't think more than 2 seconds ahead in life. They're willing to kill themselves, literally kill themselves and their children for what? So they can sit and stare, so they can sit and stare and check their Facebook status every 5 seconds, or, you know, it's, I just can't believe it. They will actually, the information is out there. You can go, and there's citations in all of these. You can go to the EPA, you can go to all of these places and see that this research is scientific. This is the facts. These are the radiation levels. This is what is happening. But they don't have time. They don't have time, even though they carry their little smartphones, devices everywhere in the world with them. They don't have time to watch anything important. No, they got to watch, you know, oh, top 5 ways somebody fell and broke their leg in front of you. Oh yeah, I want to see 5 people break their legs, you know. That's what they're staring at. They've got us dumbed down to the point that we won't watch anything educational, even if it will save our lives. But yep, millions upon millions upon millions in the buzz feed because I want to watch some Vine of something that means nothing. And you know what? The people in the know, it comes down to us. How many of you out there are buying these smart devices for your children this Christmas, right now in this season? Well, you know what? Steve Jobs, the creator, inventor of these iPads and iPhones and Apple technology, he won't let his kids have them. I mean, he's dead now. Huh, that's weird, huh? Died of cancer, right? That's kind of weird. Huh. So anyway, when he was alive, before he died of cancer, inventing these cancer machines, it was common knowledge that Steve Jobs would never let his kids use an iPad. He just wouldn't. And everybody's known that. You know, they say, oh, it's because, like this article says, that it's because of the rise of the addictive behavior. that you can't, yeah, like the footage that I just showed you, which is absolutely true too. But that's where the dangers come in, is because small doses of radiation at these levels can be tolerated by the human body, but we can't take them off our bodies. We can't even go to sleep without them next to our heads as an alarm clock. But yeah, and Steve Jobs, isn't the only one. Bill Gates, all of these people in the know, no, they don't let their children have them, but they want all of our children to have them. So ultimately, it's us. And I can sure preach it better than I can do it, because I haven't shut all the Wi-Fi off in my house, because I do use my iPhone and I do use iPads. And we often talk about these, major events that people are seeing in dreams and stuff like that, like EMPs and solar flares and that type of thing. And yeah, to lose all of our electricity and our power grid and all of our phones and everything, yeah, that's going to be an extremely painful. I mean, they won't even be able to do the just-in-time system to deliver groceries and stuff to the store. All of that stuff is all computerized now. But if you look at it from God's point of view, to allow an event like that, an EMP or solar flare, to take down all of this stuff, it's really kind of clear that it's to save our lives. Because, like I said, we won't look up from our fuzzy nothingness long enough to take this seriously and save our own lives. So I do believe that if God allows an event like that, an EMP or solar flare, to take all of this out, that it'll be a deliverance. And I know that it'll be painful for a lot of people, especially those who haven't listened and prepared. But there is no doubt in my mind that it's a salvation and a deliverance that we just won't do ourselves, and he will allow it, so for our own good. Hopefully a few people will see this and wake up and take this seriously and prepare. Well, that's my take on it. That's some of my thoughts on the subject. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? So let me know. I love you guys. God bless you.